So, back in that time long ago and land far away, the wise old woman cried out as she saw the girl, "My dear, you wear the crown!" And indeed, what neither the girl nor her auntie had seen before was that the girl wore a crown of pink and purple lights, sparkling like crystals in her hair. The old woman could see it because, as the auntie had said, she knew a thing or two. The old woman led the girl to a mirror, and the girl saw her crown of sparkling lights and was amazed. "It's so pretty," she whispered. "What does it mean?" The old woman said, "It means, dear child, that you are queen." The three sat by the fire, drinking hot herb teas and sharing stories, until the girl had poured out all her woes about the obnoxious buffoons, and all her joys about her life before they came. And her auntie told how she'd been given the girl as a baby, and simply told she was an orphan. And the old woman told how this has always been the way of it in this land. When the new queen is born, she is hidden away until the truth of who she is can be hidden no more. The girl was concerned that being queen would take her away from the life she'd loved. "Will it change everything?" she asked. "Well, yes, sweet child," the old woman said. "It means you decide, and sometimes that takes some puzzling out. But let's start with something easy. Those buffoons." "The buffoons aren't easy," exclaimed the girl, alarmed. "I've tried everything to get rid of them. They just won't be reasoned with." "Alas," said the old woman, "it's simply that you did not know the power you have. Now that you know that you are queen, you can have whatever you wish for in your land. Now think, child. Take a little time here. When it comes to these buffoons, what do you want to happen?" At first the girl thought she'd like them all rounded up and thrown in a dungeon. But she didn't like the idea of their rage still being bottled up somewhere in her land. Then she thought she'd like them banished and all her borders secured so they could never get in again. But she didn't like the idea of so many of her loyal subjects having to be on full alert all the time around all her borders. With all this pondering, she began to wonder what it was that made the buffoons behave so obnoxiously anyway. Could there be a way to get them to change? "They are yours to command, little queen," said the old woman softly, a glint in her eye. The girl was startled. She didn't think she'd spoken any of her thoughts aloud, but she was realizing this old woman knew a thing or two. If she could get the buffoons to behave differently, what would she rather they do? How about they had fun with her in a nice way, in a helpful way? What if they played with her instead of against her? What if they had just been bored and restless and looking for a meaningful role in her kingdom? So the girl asked for pen and paper, and she wrote out her decree which took several attempts, as she was just at the beginning of her career as queen. The decree included a list of fun ways she wanted the buffoons to help her and keep her amused. She wrote without anger or malice. In fact, she began to really enjoy creating this positive new role for her troublesome subjects. When she was finished, she read it aloud to her auntie and the wise old woman, who both laughed with delight and applauded. And so it was that the very next day, on her 14th birthday, a dozen obnoxious buffoons turned up to her party to be welcomed and informed of their new roles. Although they carried on being buffoons, they were never again obnoxious, and so they and the old woman and the auntie and the girl who now knew herself to be queen all lived happily ever after.